Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Karen Stahlberg, and I serve as the director of the HILS-Online degree program. We're very excited that you're here with us today. We've got lots of information to share. I want to first introduce my colleague, actually, she's the other way on my screen, Corinne Fairbanks. Corinne, do you want to just say a brief hello?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Hello to, I see some familiar faces here on the call. Hi, Flora. Hi, Rochelle. Hello, everyone. I am the graduate program coordinator for HILS-Online, and I'm happy to see you all today. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, fantastic. And then quick introduction, Joel Kilpatrick, who's one of our students. We'll hear more from him in a little bit. And then last and most certainly not least, our chair, Dr. Chuck Friedman, who is going to talk all about learning health systems, how the sciences in this degree program help to improve health. He'll have a little presentation, and then I'll follow up with a little bit of presentation about sort of the nuts and bolts of the degree program itself. We're looking forward to Joel, who is a current student, sharing information with you about the program. And so we're really glad that you're here, and we'll be happy to save time to answer questions as well. As a reminder, we will be distributing a lot of materials from today's session, so don't sort of feel worried if you didn't get a screenshot or something like that. You'll get the materials soon. So with that, Chuck, I'd love to turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Karen. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining today. I'm very, very hyped to be speaking to you today because yesterday I was in Charlotte, North Carolina for a meeting about learning health systems that was sponsored by the National Institutes of Health, and it was truly extraordinary. The participation in the meeting was capped, and there were 37 institutions represented at this meeting, all of them interested in learning health systems, and therefore all of them potential employers for graduates of this program. So let me start with that. I'll return to that at some point in my remarks, but in the meantime, let me share my screen. And affirmative, you can see my screen?
Affirmative.
Affirmative, thank you. Okay, so I just told you about a meeting at which 37 very interested institutions showed up at this meeting in North Carolina. Because of their interest in learning health systems, let me now talk a little bit about what learning health systems are. And here's a definition. You can read a lot of long definitions, but here's a short one, which I think really goes to the point, that a system concerned with delivering improved high-quality healthcare of any size can become a learning system when it acquires the ability to improve itself and improve health in general by marrying discovery to implementation. And this marrying point is really the key word in this definition, and you'll see why in a moment. Now, a lot of people think that this concept of learning health systems was invented at the University of Michigan because we do so much work in this area, but it was not. In fact, it was the invention or the result of a meeting convened by what was then called the Institute of Medicine, but is now called the National Academy of Medicine. And they have published a very large and distinguished set of books and monographs on learning health systems, which you can read about, enables you to read about the idea to your heart's content by going to this link where you can download all of these documents. You can also learn a lot about learning health systems by going to a journal, which is published out of our department, and I have the honor of being the editor-in-chief. We very creatively entitled it Learning Health Systems, And this journal is now in its 8th year of publication and has published well over 300 excellent papers relating to the topic of learning health systems. And you can go to lhsjournal.com and download all of these papers free of charge. So in more detail now, what do learning health systems do? Well, the fundamental thing they do to improve health is what we call community-directed improvement cycles. And you see in the middle a circle, and you see on the left side the term discovery, which I mentioned in my definition, and you see on the right side the term implementation. Well, it's this cyclical process that affects the marriage of discovery and implementation. And if you want to call this the ring to continue the metaphor, I guess we can do that. So in a little more detail, an improvement cycle starts with the formation of a learning community. And we mean community in every sense of the word, a coherent and cohesive group of people, multi-stakeholder, who share a passion to solve a particular problem of interest. And this can be any health problem of interest. And the process follows with what we call performance to data, capturing what's going on now as data that can be learned from. And this is the initiation of the discovery side of the cycle. The data that are captured are then assembled for analysis. They are analyzed, and that creates what we call internal knowledge or evidence that is generated through this practice to data process, and then subsequent analysis of the data that's collected about what's going on in the local environment. But there's more to be used, because chances are any health problem of sufficient interest to generate passion in a learning community has been discovered by has been explored by others, and there will be in the literature and in other places external evidence that can be combined with what was learned internally to generate an evidence pool from which ideas about how to improve can be derived. So the community then meets here at the top of the cycle and interprets these results, interprets this evidence, and says to among itself through a process, what are we going to do? And the community decides what they're going to do, and it designs one or maybe multiple interventions designed for improvement against this problem of interest. Whatever is decided is then implemented. The community and any supporting groups that need to be involved take action. This changes the system, and measurements can be taken here to see if things have improved, which they often have. The change state of the system, the level of improvement seen, and the relationship between the way the system changed and the improvement that resulted form a new set of data that can be used to start another iteration, which can improve things even further. Key point here is discovery and implementation married through this cyclic action directed by this passionate learning community. So just to bring this to life, I'll talk about some work we've done at Michigan. We've done a lot of this kind of work, but this one is one I'm particularly proud of, and it goes to the health problem of interest, which is a really, really nasty problem, because out of hospital cardiac arrest, which is when somebody's heart just simply stops and they fall to the ground wherever this happens, and there are many, many occasions on which it happens when the person is outside of a hospital or healthcare setting. So we call this OCA, or out of hospital cardiac arrest. A learning community formed, sharing a passion about this problem because it is a really awful problem. 90% of the people who suffer from out of hospital cardiac arrest do not survive with good neurological function. So we formed a learning community consisting of many, many different types of folks, and they collected all kinds of data. They accessed 911 recordings between telecommunicators and whoever the bystander was, whoever was the first person, often someone who lives in that person's house, and to happen upon the fallen person and the telecommunicator. This is very, very important interaction. We consulted interviews with all of the different kinds of stakeholders, ranging from cardiologists and emergency room physicians to police and fire and paramedics and others who were involved in what is called the chain of survival for someone who has an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. And also there was routinely collected data, public health data, about these that we analyzed. We assembled these data. We conducted qualitative and quantitative analysis depending upon the kind of data involved. We looked at the voluminous literature about out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, which by and large, despite the fact that it's voluminous literature, has not improved things very much in terms of survival with good neurological function. We convened this same learning community in a process called deliberative dialogues, leading to a decision about what intervention should be undertaken. And what was extraordinary here is that this community came up with an idea that no one had thought of before in the many, many decades that this problem had been researched. And that is the idea of creating a heart-safe home that is an analog to the fire-safe homes that is a widespread campaign, and about 50% of the houses in the nation have fire plans. What do you do in case there's a fire? The heart-safe home is the analogous idea to have a plan of what to do in the event there's a cardiac arrest in that home, and 72% of out-of-hospital cardiac arrests do occur in the home. We have developed a Heart Safe Home initiative, and at the moment, we are taking action to implement this initiative, initially locally in 2 counties in Southeast Michigan, and then as the idea catches on, we will spread this across the region and across the state. The American Heart Association has taken great interest in this idea, and we're very, very excited about this. And it's kind of proof positive that this learning cycle idea works. And there are many, many others that I can talk about. So what's new here? If you've been involved in approaches to improve the quality of anything, you have probably happened upon the idea that you improve things with these kinds of cycles, with cyclic activity. Well, it turns out there are a lot of differences between this learning health system approach that we're talking about and these other approaches that have been around for more than a century. The first is embraced uncertainty, requiring that the community discover. The second is this idea of multi-stakeholder learning communities. And the third is the all-important idea of infrastructure that helps give the HILS program its name. It's called Health Infrastructures and Learning Systems for a reason. There's a paper in Learning Health Systems that you can read about for more detail than I'm going to present here. But let me expand on these for a moment, because these 3 differentiating factors are absolutely critical to getting a grasp of what learning health systems are all about. The idea of embracing uncertainty is manifested in the community at the beginning of the cycle, down here at 5 o'clock, having no pre-commitment to any particular improvement intervention. And in many other approaches, there is a pre-commitment to do something in particular. As the cycle advances, the community co-discovers on this left or blue side until it reaches the top point where decisions will be made about what to do, having discovered what the community was going to discover. It follows that it's very important that the cycles start here at 5 o'clock and not, as in many cyclical processes, at 12 o'clock, where basically the community, if there is a community, has basically been told what to do by somebody else. That's not the idea here. The community discovers what to do with no pre-commitment to any idea. And this process takes place in a way that puts the community in control. The community that discovers is also the community that implements. So the community does the green P to D thing, the community does the blue D to K thing, and the community does the red K to P thing. It is not this, which is actually what is the case in many, many organizations that with all of the best intentions are trying to improve the quality of health and health care, but they do this in a way that has each phase of the cycle they are trying to implement undertaken by different groups with different leadership and different cultures, often called program evaluators to do P to D, health services researchers to do D to K, and change implementers to do K to P. These broken cycles, or interrupted cycles, if you want a more precise term, require handoffs between completely different organizations. And not only is this inefficient, but also at these points of discontinuity, the process often just stalls. For example, if this idea that is of higher priority to this group is of lower priority to this group. So they hand it off thinking that the red people, the red organization will just continue what the blue organization is so excited about. But the fact that the red organization is not equally excited just causes the process to stall. And we see this a lot. And the third distinguishing characteristic is this idea of infrastructure, so important. And the idea here is that infrastructure is what makes the system into a system. Without infrastructure, an organization can have multiple improvement cycles going on, but if they're just simply functioning independently of each other, as is often the case in many places, what you have is a bunch of cycles. You don't have a system. They can't learn from each other, and moreover, they can't share resources that could benefit all of them. This is where infrastructure comes in. Infrastructure enables a large set of simultaneously occurring cycles. We call this the tornado diagram for obvious reasons, each run by its own community and each addressing a unique problem to function as a scalable and sustainable system. And this is because they all rest on top of an infrastructure platform. And this infrastructure platform, which is socio-technical, it's people, technology, process, and policy, is providing services that are helpful to all of them because they're all basically doing, even though they're addressing different problems, the same green to blue to red and back to green process. So I could talk much more about infrastructure, but it is this feature of shared services that is a kind of secret sauce for learning health systems to really improve health and care in a scalable and sustainable way. Something amazing is happening now, and I'd say this happened post-pandemic. I don't know what caused this great awakening around learning health systems, which we're seeing now. but maybe it's because people realize that if the nation had a learning health system, many people who died during the pandemic may have in fact survived. There are learning systems everywhere now, learning health systems everywhere. Single organizations, single healthcare delivery organizations can be learning health systems. And I can now put the number that are actively involved in this as greater than the 37 who showed up at this meeting yesterday. As I said, that was just extraordinary. Then there are many, many networks of organizations that are different organizations that have come together to pool their resources to improve care, usually directed at a particular type of disease domain, like cancer, inflammatory bowel disease, problems of neonates, and others. At a larger level of scale, states, provinces, and regions can be learning health systems. Entire nations can function as learning health systems, as we've seen in Switzerland, which has a 10-year-old now Swiss learning health system project, Scotland in the UK, and in the Veterans Administration, we are moving toward a national scale system, learning system for a subset of the US healthcare system. And someday there may be a global learning health system that comes together as the smaller scale systems merge, and we will be far better off in another pandemic if we have moved substantially in this direction. Closing my comments here, this concept, as I said, is now taking off. It's the hottest ticket in town, and HILS-Online will put you at the head of the curve. It will do three things for you. It will make you into an improver who can address any health problem, because learning health system methods, as I said earlier, can apply to any problem as directed by a community that is passionate about that problem. I've already said this will connect you to a transformational idea that's growing by the day. And just to put a shout out to the University of Michigan, you'll walk away with a credential from a nationally renowned university, and having a credential from a nationally renowned university can open career doors for you. Just having a Michigan degree speaks very loudly. So that ends my remarks. I know we're going to have time for questions and comments at the end, but if anybody has a quick question for me now, I'd be happy to entertain it.
Yeah, Chuck, there's actually a question in the chat. Nicholas, would you want to just unmute and ask the question? It's a lot easier to do it that way if you'd like.
Sure, no doubt. Thank you. I was just curious, what differentiates this degree in terms of the curriculum from a degree in, say, systems engineering with a focus on, healthcare organizations, or a more analytics focused degree with a systems emphasis, and also a focus on healthcare. I guess what sort of makes this degree pop out from the rest, as it were?
I think you put your finger on a degree that is probably the closest a systems engineering degree with a health focus to what the HILS program is. But I think you have to look at also what kind of students that program will attract, and what the mix of backgrounds of those students would be. I would think an engineering program will attract more people with engineering backgrounds, and maybe fewer people with other kinds of backgrounds, and maybe fewer people who themselves are health professionals. I think the HILS program, because it isn't labeled as an engineering program, it's labeled as a health program, uh, has a has an ability, and we know this because of who's in the program already, to attract a much more diverse group of students. And I think out of that diversity is a great strength of the program. I think this program, the curriculum, I think is more people oriented. I'm not sure you'd see an ethics course in an engineering oriented system program. I'm not sure you'd see a knowledge management course in a so the socio-technical aspects of infrastructure would probably be less equally represented in the curriculum of an systems engineering focused program.
Yeah.
But I can see why you saw a relationship.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. We're getting a couple of questions in the background about the curriculum and about opportunities. So I do want to make sure that we get to some sort of nuts and bolts of the degree program, and also to make sure that we get to hear from Joel, who is one of our current students. So let me do just a few sort of slides and background information, and we will absolutely get to all of the questions. So now it's my turn to figure out if I can share slides. And Corinne is very active in the chat, which is so great and so helpful. So if you can, keep an eye on there. So here we are talking about how you can lead and change and transform health by getting a degree in health infrastructures and learning systems. And what's so unique about this degree is that it covers sort of all of the sciences that are needed to craft and create a learning health system. It's interesting, Chuck was at a meeting yesterday. Corinne and I were also at a meeting of the Southeast Michigan Center for Medical Education, and the keynote speaker was someone from Mayo who was talking about how Mayo Clinic has now created this really large infrastructure involving a number of technical programs, a number of their community hospitals and organizing systems, as well as their individuals, to bring and de-identify all of their all of their data together to create this system that can then be queried and learned from in order to make good clinical decisions. So to Chuck's point, this is sort of everywhere. And that's why our degree program in HILS has students who hail from sort of everywhere, right? So the degree program is a PhD program, as well as a residential master's program and an online degree program. The thing to recognize about the online degree program is that we're only able to take students from the United States or admitted residents to the United States. Lots of sort of online rules and regs that, at least for right now, limit who can participate in the program, at least online. So we have an amazing cohort, and Joel is hiding up there in the top of the stairs, but I'm actually gonna let him pop in for a second and just give you a sense of like who he is, why he's in this program, why he's finding it valuable. Joel, I'm gonna let you just pop in without sharing.
Sure, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I was in your shoes, in many of your shoes this time last year. I am a nurse by background, and then I have also served in nursing leadership and then risk management, and currently in our quality improvement department at the University of Michigan Health, and doing patient safety work, doing root cause analyses. But my background really, I felt like I had a lot of the experiential, knowledge and being able to, know what I thought about things, but I didn't have really that, I think, that piece that I was really looking for as far as that formal education. And when I found this program and heard about it through colleagues, it was just really great, because it does marry so many of the things that I'd been experiencing in my own career and being able to then jump into and then get a formalized education here through the University of Michigan. I really love the aspect of it around the team, you know, and we have our Bo Schambachler and the team, and that's really what I think the HILS program is great at doing, because we have such a diverse background. You know, we don't just have system engineers, but we have, you know, physicians, nurses, respiratory therapists, other folks within quality around healthcare, and the list goes on. But it's been such a amazing last year. I'm taking the master's online program and doing it part-time. So I had 2 classes each semester, and that's definitely enough for me, working full-time and being a father of 3 very active boys, and seeking to also be a good husband. So all that being said, just so blessed to be in this program.
Oh, thanks, Joel. We're so happy you're part of Team 3. I can't even. Hold on to those thoughts about like how you manage school and work and life and all of that, because that's going to be really important. But I think what you can see from this slide is that there are lots of folks in this degree program. And yes, there are the usual suspects of health sciences people and health professionals and information and computing folks, but we definitely have engineers. We have folks with focus in behavioral and social sciences, as well as individuals thinking at like bigger scale levels, organization, policy sciences. Some of our graduates were our directors of labs on the East Coast and wanted some additional training to sort of understand how their lab systems altogether could benefit from informatics and this learning loop approach. So when you complete the HILS-Online degree program, you will go through 27 credit hours, and you'll also complete a learning cycle project and end up with a Master of Science degree from the University of Michigan Medical School. But what's great and unique about this program is, just like our Taubman Health Sciences Library is a beautiful building with no books in it, actually, this degree is a degree program with classes that don't need to occur at the same time every day in a classroom. So the really nice thing is that this is specialized training to make lasting improvements, but it's asynchronous. So there's all of the content is delivered through the Canvas learning management system. The modules are released generally on a Monday, with assignments due Thursdays and Sundays in general. We don't release the whole course at once, so you can't binge watch it like Netflix. We actually do make you go through. Sorry, I know. Because what's really cool is that the individuals who are teaching the courses in the online space are generally also teaching them at the same time in person. And so you've got real people behind your courses, if you will. And so like right now, I'm teaching our LHS 622, and we're in our 3rd week. And so I interact online asynchronously, usually doing my posts at about 10 p.m. at night after work, but that's okay, because that's what we're here for, right? The other thing that's really nice is the content can be complex, and so you get the chance to review lectures and sort of, you know, slow down a little bit over material that's difficult. But I do have to be honest that you should expect 8 to 10 hours per week per course, because there can be a lot of reading, there can be a lot of sort of thinking and developing your own content that then needs to be posted. So this isn't really like an executive master's where you kind of show up on the weekends a couple of times. This is really like a class every week, or 2 or 3 classes. This is what we'd like to call the Hydra, which is how we organize the content around this learning cycle that Chuck talked about. So all of the courses fit around that cycle. So to use a baseball reference, when you graduate, you will be able to hit for the cycle. So you will have skills in data science and research and evaluation methods, how to think about infrastructures, how to represent knowledge so that it can be actionable for others to use, how to implement and organize change in complex systems, but also really important, the ethics and policy and the people component around community formation and what does all this data mean and how does technology inhibit or enhance or, sort of decrease, but also perhaps increase disparities. So this is a crazy slide, everybody says that, but what this shows you is all of the things going on at Michigan Medicine that use these learning loop kind of ideas to think about how to improve our systems and how to make change, whether that's e-health and artificial intelligence that's looking at real-time data and trying to do predictive modeling about, during the pandemic, we were looking at how many ICU beds do we have, how many ventilators do we think we're going to need, and sort of model that out. I can tell you that on labor and delivery, because I'm also an OBGYN, they model out how many babies we anticipate having, and we are now flexing our support and the number of rooms that we have based on when we think and know that we're going to have more babies. And we think about safety. We have data warehouses. We have all sorts of real-time engagement centers. But the really cool thing is that all of the faculty in the Department of Learning Health Sciences are somehow involved in each one of these components of the health system. And so what that means is that the people who are teaching you and from whom you're learning are actually doing the activities that they're talking about. So real quick, high level, and I would be remiss if I did not mention Dr. Gretchen Pyatt, who is the Associate Chair of Education in the department and also the grad chair for HILS. Everyone in this picture actually has graduated from the program, and Dr. Munyesi to the right of Dr. Pyatt is now faculty, so that is fair warning that if you join the program, we may not ever let you leave. So just be careful. So we have courses in health infrastructures and policy, implementation science, data science, research methods, quality, and what you're seeing there is a real picture from this fall where we bring everybody to campus and bring our whole HILS community together, because like Joel said, we're like a team, and we tried, even though folks are asynchronous or getting a PhD or something, we're all thinking about the same things, so we want to be together. So like I said, there's data science and research methods. We do have you do a learning cycle project capstone. And so during fall and winter terms of your first year, we have you start thinking about like, what would I want to do? What do I want to change? What's of interest to me? And then thinking and working with your advisor about how to help make that change happen. And then the spring summer course is the capstone course, LHS 622, which also talks about dissemination and implementation of the project. I will tell you, and I promise you, and so don't freak out, most people do not complete a full cycle. Many people end up doing a deep dive into one of the components as a beginning step for what their plans are moving forward. So here's a quick look at a one-year plan. Recognize that this is 27 total credit hours. Each of our courses are 3 hours. And so you would take 4 courses in the fall and winter terms, and then in spring, summer only, if you will, the capstone. Recognize that these courses are only offered in certain terms, and so you'll have to sort of work that cadence out, because it's not like you can just drop into the curriculum at any time. If this faculty had to teach 24/7, 365, I think, well, they'd come for me. So recognize that we have a variety of courses that should have a lot of interest to a number of folks, as well as electives, so that you can do a deep dive into data analysis, you can do a deep dive into knowledge representation. We also have the opportunity to think about teamwork and how to organize teams. Like Joel said, he's going sort of 2 classes at a time. So this sort of stretches it out to a 24-month plan. But in theory, you could do it in 18 months because if you moved your spring summer into the middle here, then you could complete it a little faster. Fall term for us is late August to mid-December. Winter is sort of mid-Jan to early May. And then spring summer is May to August. Notice how I'm teaching May to August, just so we're clear, because I think it's the best semester to teach, in all honesty. We also have on-campus institutes, which are required. They basically occur at the beginning of each term, and they're meant to bring people together as a community, as well as to help reinforce the current coursework. So actually to bring the stuff that you're learning to life. You'll be here on campus for 2 to 3 days. We'll have active learning sessions, skill development, dedicated one-on-one mentoring with your advisor. And in case you hadn't figured it out, we like to have fun. And so we socialize and we make sure that we bring our community together so that we can support one another, learn from one another, and share ideas and successes. And so to that end, we have a picnic once a year in the fall. We love to see families and friends there, and so that works great. So the goal, like we said, is really to have people graduate who can move into these leadership positions focused on quality, safety, management, people with expertise in informatics and healthcare data analysis, so that you can speak the talk or walk the walk, depending on where you are in your own organization. But either way, you're going to end up as an improvement and implementation leader who could run the quality assurance department, or who could work in a policy center that's thinking about how data is managed and utilized. You could be someone who is in an individual, healthcare environment, and how might you lead in your organization or in your specialty. So there's lots of student support available, like so much, because technically you're in two schools. You're in the Rackham Graduate School and you're also in Michigan Medical School. And so what that means is between the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies in the medical school, as well as the university resources, basically everything you could possibly want is available to you, including all of the counseling and psychological services, Taubman Health Sciences Library online catalog, which is replete with information. The other thing is one-on-one advising. So we're paired with a faculty advisor. That's Dr. Amy Kilborn, who is an implementation scientist and works primarily in the VA and is our associate chair for research, actually. And so we make sure that you can connect in a million ways. So now is my job to talk to you about the icky things, right? Which is like, how much does this cost? So recognize that the estimated tuition is an estimate, and that the tuition is determined by the Regents of the University of Michigan. So I'm just saying that, and it's subject to change. Basically, what the way it's set out is that you're charged per credit hour to a maximum of 9 credit hours. And there's a distinction between Michigan residents and non-residents, and there's also mandatory fees. We are going to distribute these slides, and so you'll be able to look through this. I'm going to make sure that I get a high overview just because I'm aware of the time frame, and I know many of us have a hard stop at 1. So if you were to take a 1-year plan, at least currently, you'd be doing 12 credits. Now, the thing to recognize is that the charges actually cap at 9 because that's where you're considered full term. So I like to say you can buy 3 and get 1 free, but that's actually kind of not funny, but true. So if you decide to take 9 courses or 9 credit hours, sometimes people are like, well, wait a minute. Maybe I should just do 4 because I'm only paying for 9, but that's neither here nor there. I just want you to recognize that the hourly rate for credit hours caps at 9. So if you're an in-state tuition person and you're doing all of this, semesters 1 and 2, it's 12 credit hours, with semester 3 being 3 credit hours, and that would put you at about $31,320. For non-Michigan residents, of course, that's going to be higher at about $63,513. Things that you actually will need to provide and pay for as well includes your study materials. I happen to be a pen and paper kind of person, but others are not. You definitely need high-speed internet service to access all the content. You need your own computer equipment and software with a lot of sort of fancy stuff built in. And then you are responsible for the travel expenses to come to the 3 in-person institute sessions. And we try to give folks a lot of leeway and a lot of time to plan and to get travel and time off work, that kind of thing. We try to stagger those so that they can be a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, Monday. Our upcoming one is a Monday, Tuesday for a variety of reasons, but we really do try to sort of think about all of the other things people are doing in their lives. So application requirements, here's the great news. You need a bachelor's degree. You need 1 statistics class in your history. If that statistics class was like 52 years ago, just kidding, if it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we have ways for you to get some catch-up material or do some refresher courses so that you feel a little more sort of solid in your skill set as you come in. We're going to ask for a personal as well as an academic statement of purpose. We want a resume and CV. We're going to need all and any transcripts from any higher institution of learning that you've attended, and those need to be validated by the registrar. And so those can take a little bit of time, just be aware of that. We need 3 letters of recommendation from people who know how wonderful you are and can demonstrate to us that, like, yes, you should be in this program because you're going to change the world and fix healthcare. And happy news, no GRE required. Yay, everybody do a happy dance for that. Thank you, Michelle. I see you. So application tips. Definitely read the instructions. I know that sounds silly, but the way the application goes into the Rackham system, and it's kind of wonky a little bit about how things go in. So make sure that your academic statement talks about how you understand a learning health system. How does it apply to what you're doing, what you're interested in, what your research questions are, or your questions of interest, really, right? This is a master's program. You're not getting a PhD yet. Did you talk to any of the faculty ahead of time? Are there folks with whom your interests and their interests really jive, and you had a great discussion with them? Can you explain, maybe you are a researcher and what did you do before and how might this bring you forward as well? And then we're very interested in a personal statement because this is a holistic program. And so what we want to understand is the background, life experiences, cultural, geographical, financial, educational, all of those things that make you who you are and got you to this place and space. So for me, I started in medical school and graduated and then did a 4-year residency in obstetrics and gynecology. But then 10 years later, like a nut, I actually went and got a master's in higher education from our School of Education. And there's so many stories there, but like the rest is kind of history, right? But when I was in Rackham, they called me a chronologically advanced student. So I do understand what it means to take time out of work, sit in a classroom and do homework. The advantage here is that there's no sitting in a classroom. We will also send you a lot of resources for your applications, journal articles, links to places and spaces where people are talking about healthcare quality and research and learning health systems. Definitely make sure you proofread. We all know what fun autocorrect can be. Definitely ask a friend, a mentor, a colleague, somebody, just take a look at it for topographical errors. Another weird thing, I often will read material in different orders, like start at the back page and read backwards just to catch any typos. Again, just a trick because your mind is used to reading it forward. So if you read it in the wrong order, that can help you see things. Definitely submit materials in a timely manner. And speaking of time, time is of the essence because to start for this August 2024 cohort, the deadline is June 1. The link is going to be in the Rackham Graduate School application site. Right now, if you're a current Rackham student, there's a $10 fee for application. If you're a non-Rackham student, there's a $75 fee, but have no fear, Corinne has lots of fee waivers. And so if that's something you're interested in, she can help you in that regard. We definitely are going to notify people as soon as we can. We generally have a rolling admissions, which starts at the beginning of the year. So if this cycle isn't good for you, please keep an eye out early fall because we will start accepting again. At this time, we're not allowing any transfer credits because this is a complete degree. It's a unique 27 credit experience. However, if you already come in with some specific expertise or understanding, there may be options for us to switch out some equivalencies for you. So that was a lot, and I know it was really fast. We will get the info for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact Corinne or myself. Chuck and I and Gretchen Pyatt are all available to meet with learners who are interested. And with that, I am going to pause and stop sharing.